My name is Malene, and I am 33 years old. 8 years ago, I married William. I truly believed I was the luckiest woman alive. He was kind, hardworking, and deeply loving. We had a beautiful home, a comfortable life, and a happiness that felt unshakable. But slowly, everything began to change. William started coming home late. He would silence his phone whenever I was nearby. He offered weak excuses about traffic or last-minute meetings. At first, I pushed the worry aside. But doubt is a quiet thing. It grows in silence, and it grew in me. One night, William came home after midnight. I had cooked dinner and waited for hours. When I asked where he had been, he said gently, "Just work, Malene. Please don't worry." But something in his eyes unsettled me. He looked exhausted, almost broken. Later, while he was in the shower, I picked up his phone. My hands trembled as I read messages from a woman named Claire. She had written, "Thank you for staying with me again today. I had a wonderful time. I hope we can meet again soon." My heart shattered. I felt the floor disappear beneath me. When William came out of the bathroom, I threw the phone at him. I demanded to know who Claire was. He looked stunned and begged me to listen, but I was too hurt to hear anything. I told him to get out of the house. He didn't argue. He just looked at me with quiet, wounded eyes. He said, "Someday you'll understand, Malene. I hope that day comes before it's too late." Then he left. Weeks passed in silence. I cried every night, but refused to admit how much I missed him. Then one evening, while walking home from work, I noticed a woman standing near the bus stop. She was thin, pale, and holding the hand of a small boy. Something about her face felt familiar. Then it hit me. It was Claire. Anger rose in my chest. I walked up to her and said sharply, "You're the one who took my husband." Claire looked at me with wide, startled eyes. Then, slowly, they filled with tears. She shook her head and said softly, "Mrs. Malene, I think you misunderstood. William was helping me, not betraying you." She told me everything. Her husband had died in an accident 2 years ago. He and William had been best friends, but before he passed, he made William promise to look after his family. Claire's young son had been diagnosed with a serious heart condition. William had been quietly paying for his medical treatment for months. He never told anyone, not even me. He simply wanted to keep his promise. I stood frozen on that pavement, unable to speak. Claire reached into her bag and showed me her phone. There were messages from William, money transfers, hospital bills, receipts from doctors. And then she told me something that broke what was left of my heart. William had sold his car to cover the cost of her son's surgery. I couldn't breathe. My husband had been quietly saving a child's life while I accused him of lying. I had thrown a good man out of his own home. I called William immediately, again and again, but he didn't answer. I sent him messages begging him to come back. Nothing. Days went by without a word. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard his voice saying, "Someday you'll understand." I went to his office. They told me he hadn't come in for a week. A mutual friend said he had traveled to another city. Fear took hold of me and wouldn't let go. Then, 2 days later, my phone rang. It was a hospital. William had been in an accident. I ran. When I reached him, he was lying pale and still in a hospital bed. A bandage wrapped around his head. I took his hand and begged him to open his eyes. After a moment, he did. He looked at me and smiled weakly. "Don't cry, Malene," he whispered. "You look beautiful when you smile." Through my tears, I asked him why he never told me the truth. He looked at me with the same gentle eyes I had fallen in love with. "Because I wanted you to love me for who I am, not for what I do," he said. "I didn't want you to feel guilty or burdened. I just wanted to do what was right." I told him I was stupid. I told him I was sorry. He smiled and said, "Love isn't about being perfect, Malene. It's about understanding, even when the truth is hidden." I held his hand tightly. I begged him to come home. He closed his eyes. I told myself he only needed rest, but fate does not wait for apologies. That night, William died from internal bleeding. When the doctor told me, my legs gave out. I collapsed on the floor, screaming. The name of the man I had called a liar. The man who had been nothing but good. Later, I found a letter in his bag. His handwriting was calm and steady, as if he had written it without fear. It said, "Malene, I never wanted to hurt you. I only wanted to help a friend's family. You once told me you wanted to love a man who makes the world better. I tried to be that man for you. Please don't blame yourself. Live your life. Be kind. I will always love you." I pressed that letter to my chest and wept. 2 years have passed since that night. I visit Claire and her son often now. The little boy calls me Aunt Malene. He laughs easily and loves without hesitation, and whenever he smiles, I see something of William in him, a quiet kindness, a generous heart. Some nights I step outside and look up at the sky and speak to William as if he can still hear me. I tell him I was wrong. I tell him I was afraid, and that fear made me blind. I tell him that the man I thought was a liar was, in truth, the most honest and loving person. He gave everything he had, not for recognition, not for gratitude, but simply because it was the right thing to do. I did not deserve him, but he loved me anyway, and I will carry that love quietly and carefully for the rest of my life.